Welcome to the Successful Nurse Coach podcast. On this podcast, Laura
and Shelby, both board-certified nurse coaches, show you how to make as much money as you want in private practice as a nurse coach. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Successful Nurse Coach podcast. It is Shelby here today, and I have a different episode for you. We have a guest host on the podcast today. Not a guest, but a guest host. And her name is Meghan Ruttan. If you are a longtime listener of the pod, she's been on here before. She is a part of our lead learning team over at Nurse Life Coach Academy. All around favorite Meghan. And she's here today to interview me for the podcast. And I showed up to this call with no preparation. I really have no idea what comes next. But Meghan gets to drive. So here's the mic. It's yours, my friend.
I love it. Passing the baton.
Yeah.
Well, I will say too that I let my husband know that I was doing this, and he was so excited from the lens of, I want all my podcast hosts to be guests on other podcasts. So
Yeah.
it's a great opportunity for us to just kind of flip it a little bit and for you to be in the other seat.
Yeah, I'm excited. And this is shout out to Amy Frame. This is Amy Frame's idea. She's been nagging us. Okay, nagging's a strong word. She's been strongly recommending for like 6 months for us to do this style of podcast. And this one's for you, Amy. It's all for you, baby girl. It's your idea, and I'm finally executing on it 6 months later. But I'm excited. You know, to be honest, Meghan, I really do love to talk about myself. So this gives me a really good excuse to be able to do it.
Perfect. Okay, we're going to start out. So at the time of this recording, I don't know when you're planning on airing it, but right now we're approaching the end of the year.
Uh-huh.
And I'm just curious for you, as you're looking back on your year, if there's been a word or an energetic theme that's come forward for your 2025.
Oh my God. Yes. I feel like my intention settings or my goal settings every year take on a different flavor. Like it's not always copy and paste. And this time last year, we were creeping up. My son was going to be born in like 2 weeks. And just being in this time of year again, you know, that whole theme of like the body keeps the score. It's like been a little extra tender the past few days. And right after he was born on December 3rd last year, the word that came to me was unrecognizable. You are going to be unrecognizable. And as I'm laying in the ICU bed, hearing this, I'm like, fuck me. This is maybe one of my lowest moments so far in my 34 years. And to hear spirit talking to me in words like unrecognizable, I was like, you've got to be kidding. Like, I'm not ready. For so many reasons, I'm not ready. And maybe we'll get into this a little later, but oh my God, did 2025 deliver on that word? I had, there was a lot of growth this year. There was a lot of leaning into the unknown. Like business has taken on a full new form for me in the past 12 months, and unrecognizable it was. And I'm happy to expand, but yes, short answer, yes. Unrecognizable.
Yeah. And so with that, is there still murmurations of that feeling true for you now, or what has shifted in this moment now for you?
I will say that I probably feel like more myself than ever. Like I think deep down, I always knew this version of me existed. It's kind of like all of the healing work that I've done in the past 7 years, all the coaches that I've hired, all the scary things, like the vulnerable things that I've done in the past 7 years has all like set me up for like the Super Bowl of 2025. And then this was like a big year of becoming the most integrated version of myself. And so, yes, I do feel unrecognizable. There are many pieces of myself that I said goodbye to in 2025. And that sounds sad. I don't really mean it as sad. It's just like the evolution of growth. And so I feel like really grounded and really rooted like 93% of the time right now. And, you know, we're entering on the end of the year. coming into 2026, and this is kind of like a natural, like, deep breath moment of like, okay, we made it, we survived. Now, how can we do next year
Mhm.
like bigger, better, and also in more alignment too? Like, how do we keep all of the vision work going without burning myself out? I'm thinking about that a lot right now. Of like, I don't want to slow down the dream. I don't want to slow down the vision. I don't want to slow down the work. But how do we make it more sustainable is like phase 2 here, creeping into 2026.
Yeah, that's huge. And that's a
Yeah.
beautiful thing to say too. I mean, even the fact that you're saying 93% of the time, that's an A, baby. That is an
That's
A.
an A. It's better than any grade I got in school, like truly, I really do feel that way. There are, sure, absolutely moments, but they are so brief. They're so
Mhm.
brief, which is also, I think, something I'm really proud of long term is that like I'm able to return to like my true self, my core self faster and faster. Not with like bypassing or telling myself that it doesn't matter, just gaslighting myself back to neutral, but like an acknowledgement, a processing, communicating what I need, and then like moving on is something 2020 me couldn't even comprehend. Like that did not exist in my tool belt at all.
Right, right. That's huge.
Yeah. It's cool. It kind of freaks me out. I'm like, okay, now that you are the most badass version of yourself, what's possible now? And that freaks me out in like a cool way. Equal
Mhm.
parts exciting and scary from here. Yeah.
Right. It has me thinking of like the idea of uh, breaking through ceilings. And then once we do, there's this whole new landscape, but the ceiling has become the floor again. And I
Mhm.
see like all this strength. And as you said, like integration and nourishment. And it's like this fuller embodied you now
Yeah.
has a different capacity for what's forward, not necessarily
Mhm.
wishing for more challenges, but just to be with whatever is here now in this new landscape.
Yep. That's a good way to put it. And it really feels like a felt sense, like
Mhm.
it's an inner felt sense, which is like such a somatic thing to say. Like so somatic language. But like the work has been harder than ever. It's been more challenging than ever. There's literally never been any more at stake as there has been in the past 12 months. Yet there's like a full knowing that we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah. It's cool.
So I want to see too, and the kind of the heels of that, of like what's one wonderfully unpolished thing about your life right now that would have your audience, your listeners be like, yep, yep, Shelby's just like the rest of us too.
Yeah. Oh, wonderfully unpolished. I can think of a few. Um, like a really surface level one is I'm like scanning my office right now and I'm like, there's the bowl I ate soup from yesterday, and there's like my sparkling water, and here's like a bowl of like peanut butter and apples I was eating before, like there are many loose ends in my life. More on like a home front to where like, yeah, it's just like so unpolished. Like if someone knocked on my door right now and was like, "Let me come in your home," I would feel the need to apologize, to be like, "Yeah, there's like dog hair everywhere." And it's lived in. We're here with 3 kids and a business that demands a lot. Me and my husband made a pact a while ago of like, this, we're not going to like hold each other accountable for this. We're just here. And like when it gets tended to, it gets tended to. Um, so that's a very surface level thing, but probably on a deeper, unpolished thing, I think if I were to hire a coach right now, what would I hire them for? It would be that my life is still pretty not one-sided, because I feel like my life is multidimensional. However, it's weighted to like business and family, and there's like nothing else balancing out the scale for me right now. And this was a conversation I was having with Laura earlier this week of like, I'm done with it like this. And it's not Laura's fault. This was a conversation as friends we were having. I was like, we committed to do whatever we needed to do these 12 months. And I'm just noticing that I'm really proud of us. We learned so much. And I like want to go do other things too. I want to go see my friends. Like, I want to host a dinner party club next year. Like, I'm out of the newborn phase, so there's like a little bit more bandwidth to like have desire to do things like that now that I'm sleeping kind of through the night along with my baby. So that scale is like very much tipped for me, and it's been a necessary tipping. And I can see it. I can see the horizon. I see the light at the end of the tunnel. We've hired a lot of support. Like, I feel like we're gonna like start to swing back here. But whenever I think that I judge myself a lot for that, because we are all for like holistic businesses and don't kill yourself to build your business and bop, bop, blah, 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 bop, bop. And I have been humbled quite deeply by that, by the last 12 months of just like what business has required and what we've had to give, and acknowledging that like I was willing to give it, and now it has to like shift. There has to be reprieve. So that's like the messy truth there.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's important to share that. Even the other day, I was hopping on with a newer client, and it's funny how deep and insidious those parts can be, where I had a moment of my youngest is homesick. Things haven't been going so smooth in the home. Like, there's all these things happening that part of me came online. I'm like, who am I to hop on this call? Like, I don't have my shit figured out. And then right away, it's like, source something higher came in, and it's like, of course you don't, because you are a human. Like, you're not meant to. Like, if you're just skilled and embodied and showing up as you are and holding space for somebody else. Like, we're not meant to be perfect. And I think that sometimes that's where it gets slippery, especially in this business, of like, we're not meant to be perfect, and to give grace to the fact that there's a peanut butter bowl at the table, and the reality you live with dogs and 3 children.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And that's probably like really helpful for people to hear. And there have been seasons in our business to where we have coasted, and it has been awesome. It was so great. It's kind of like one of those things you just didn't know how good it was until it was over. You're like, damn, I really wish I would have paid more attention when it was easier. And that was a misconception that I had when I first started my business, to where if I can just figure out all of the right pieces, then it's like solving a puzzle that you only solve once. And like, sometimes that's true, but it's more like you put together the puzzle, and then your toddler comes and like steals puzzle pieces and runs away with it. And you're like, no, like, wait, I already solved that problem. Come back. And then you just get like really good at like solving all the problems repetitively, and they're not as taxing anymore. But I think that's why entrepreneurship, it's what has me most frustrated and also keeps me coming back, because I'm like, ooh, who do I get to become in this next phase if I can just stick it out? Like, who's on the other side of this challenge and this hard thing? And yeah, it's equally parts frustrating and fun, which is just tantalizing enough to keep going.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And the depth equals the rise, right? So it's like whatever hole we're in, or whatever that layer is of like healing and deeper understanding, it does expand on the other side tenfold. And so it's that building capacity.
And not just in your business either, just kind of like in every area of your life too. And oh, yeah, I'm just like visualizing all of the ways, all the coaching skills that I've learned over the years, and how it just ripples in to relationships. Basically, the most important thing in my life is relationships, and just how it serves me, how it serves other people, how I'm such a better communicator. I love people deeper. I love them harder. Yeah, the depth you're willing to go absolutely pays off in every direction forever. It's awesome.
Right. So tapping a little deeper into that, and knowing that you've shared pieces of your story before, I'd love to hear it through the lens of zooming out and looking at it like these chapter shifting moments. And for you, like the ones that have rerouted you, the ones that have cracked you open, quietly or not so quietly, like what would you say are these chapter shifting moments in your life that brought you to today?
So many. Yeah, thinking back of when I first found out about nurse coaching, and I was like working night shift in the ER at a very unsafe facility. And I was having just like many weeks on end where I would look in the mirror and not know who was looking back at me. I was just like a shell of a person. And I'm not a night shift person. I like really am not. I know that there are some people that might prefer it, but I just couldn't get it down. I was a zombie all the time. And there was a moment, one of my very last shifts at that ER, I was on a travel assignment. And I was probably like 7 or 8 weeks pregnant at the time. And I went to the charge nurse because I got a patient with shingles. And I was like, hey, I'm pregnant. Nobody knew at that time except for my husband. And I can't take this active shingles patient. And she looked at me like I was making the most outrageous request that she had ever heard. And I was confused of like, this feels like nursing like 101. Like, can I just switch this very stable shingles patient and I'll just take the next trauma that comes in? Like, I'm not sure like why this is such a big request. And that was just like a bell ringer moment of like, it doesn't matter. You don't matter. Like, that's how I felt in that moment. It's just like, you are a cog in the wheel and you are being squeaky and rusty right now. And it's annoying to everybody else. And that was really close to the graduation time for nurse coaching. And I don't think if that moment didn't happen, I wouldn't have jumped into nurse coaching in the way that I did. I just knew like no one had my back there and I couldn't go back. Like, it was a burn the boats moment for me. And I tell this story a lot to our students. I'm the type of person that could not have had 1 foot in and 1 foot out of a job and an entrepreneurship. For me, it had to be all in or else I would not have done it. And that's just who I am as a person. So it all worked out in the end, but it was uncomfortable as many expletives. It was very uncomfortable for that period of time. So that's kind of like the one that started the snowball here. And then, the first year of entrepreneurship is so hard and so challenging. You're like drinking from a fire hydrant. I cried every week. I was also pregnant for the first time. Like, there's all of those routine things going on, but the next one was definitely heart surgery for me, was like another like big line in the sand, and just choosing to show up for my business when there was like a real risk that I could die at any second. I look back on that and I'm like, man, you crazy. That's freaking insane. That's wild. But that was really a life-saving measure for me, I think, to be plugged in, to do something meaningful, to have my life mean something was really important to me during that time. And I also learned a bunch of new skills. I got diagnosed with an anxiety disorder during that time that I didn't know I had. Like, again, it's just all these invitations to go deeper into your own self. And every time I have been presented with an opportunity to go deeper or back off, I just go deeper. And I think it's my coping mechanism. Like, I just have to know, like, staying here or reverting back is just not how my brain works. I just have to know. And it does come with its own challenges too. And so there's that. And then there's like the continuing of motherhood and the business growing and then all the other stuff. And then I would say probably most recently it's been this year, 2025. Like, there's been, again, it's been unrecognizable for the past 12 months. And this year has been full of things I said that I would never do, that I would never work Sundays, that I would never do 12-hour days, that I would never. And what I have learned most recently from like a spiritual and soul level is whenever you are tapped into a bigger vision and a bigger purpose, like, because it is bigger than you, you're almost like employed to your vision. Like, there's certain things that have to get done in order to have this be a reality. And being employed to my vision it's almost like a magnetic pull. I can't say no to it. Like, and that has its shortcomings too, but it's work that's just like an extension of who I am at this point. And so setting it down or quitting, I like can't imagine a world where I do that. So all of this to be said, those have been the 3 big ones, with lots of other like mini chapters of like going from 1 baby to 2 babies and like hitting multiple 7 figures in our business. And then like all of the failed partnerships and scammy mentors that we've hired. Like, there's like all these other micro chapters that come into it, but those are the big highlights for me personally.
Yeah. I think too, playing with your wording too here of being employed to your vision. It's just how you're in relationship with your vision. And it's a long-term relationship that takes work and effort and vocalizing, right? And listening. And that's what I hear you say.
Yeah. Have you heard that saying, you wanted a full plate? It's like, don't complain about your full plate. Just like figure out how to manage the full plate. And I don't know what genetic condition I have, Meg, to where I'm always like, I want to live my life to the fullest capacity. Like that is weaved into my DNA. Even before coaching, that was like what I was known for. Of like, if it was something kind of wild and crazy, Shelby's probably going to go do it, you know? And, there's all these conversations Laura and I have behind closed doors. And we hired a mentor a few years ago, and he goes, well, what is the mission here? And I was like, we want to change healthcare. And he goes, well, what does that mean? And I was like, I don't know. I don't I'm not sure like what it means to change healthcare. Now we have a way more clear picture of that. But of course, if you want to change healthcare, that's a big girl dream that requires big girl pants and shoes. Like that is a big thing to pull off. And it's never felt more achievable than it does now. But like there was still a little bit of a cognitive disconnect for me of like, I can change healthcare and be on the beach 5 times a week. Like there was like you're not going to change healthcare by manifesting.
Right.
And not taking any action, especially with like the personal development soup where people can get lost in just thinking about things over and over and over. Like intentions don't count here. Intention plus action is what counts. And so, yeah, it's a great employment with my vision. I'm not sad about it at all. Not sad about it at all. I'm so grateful to feel so connected to it, to where it feels like life force energy to me. But it's way harder than I ever thought. And I didn't know that I could work this hard for it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I love the way that you're highlighting this too, in the sense of, I think about this with manifestation too, of like, it's not vision boards, it's rewiring our subconscious. Unfortunately, it's deeper. Like vision boards are beautiful, make them, but it's so much deeper. Like the work is real. It's capital work. It is real life work. And you're leaning in and just hearing you talk about too, like that you've always had this drive and that this is always who you are. It has me kind of think of like all the different personality tests I take, or talk about my horoscope, or I talk about my human design. And it has me thinking of what all of us were in our nurse specialties. Like that's a personality test. You were a travel nurse, you worked in the ER. Like this is real.
Yeah.
Real stuff.
Yeah. And here's also the truth of what I think of it is like, I don't like, yes, this is the like DNA of who I am as a person, but I don't believe that I'm special here. I think that I have been willing to play ball harder than most, like both Laura and I. And to be honest, team, I probably wouldn't play ball so hard if it wasn't for Laura. Like she drives harder than I do. And I love her for it. Like I probably would have quit end of last year, just given the circumstances, or like had a big revamp. There would have been something else that happened, but because she was there kind of holding the vision for me when I couldn't, we are so lucky to be here now. And yeah, I just don't think that I'm special. And I don't really think that Laura is either. Like we're just like two regular people who are willing. And I think that's like the premise of it. And I just went on the same vision board rant like 3 days ago on a call of like, it's not vision board. Like we gotta put our feet on the ground and walk. Like that is, you can have your vision board in the distance and that's where we're walking to, but there are so many things that like bring that to life. And the more rooms that we get into where I'm hanging out with like really successful people that have built something from nothing, we're all having the same conversation. It's not like this magical strategy that we purchased from someone's like webinar. It's not this secret podcast that we're all listening to with all the hacks. We're not biohacking our way. We're just like literally putting in the repetitions and being brave enough to like put a dream down on paper and then be like, all right, how do we break that down into manageable steps and begin to bring it to life? That's the piece that I hope that people listening to this, that they can find contagious and also be willing to do as well.
Right. The inch by inch moments is what
Yep.
makes it. So I'm curious for you too, then looking back on all these chapters, and it might even be chapters before all of this, but is there a belief or beliefs that have shifted for you over the years that maybe you thought something was true and now it doesn't ring true for you anymore?
Yeah. Just, I was like, I have the business answer to this, and then I have like the real spiritual, like, is God real? Like I have that one as well, but and kind of both for me over the past decade or so. What specific beliefs though? I think the belief that if I can just like be good enough, then life is easier and happy and rainbows. That was a big one that broke down for me. And the more you learn to feel and communicate and be in deeper relationships with others, then you like it just gets kind of harder. You know, like the spectrum gets wider. I hope I'm describing this appropriately, but like my relationships are better, not because we only have happy memories together, but they are better because we are able to have harder conversations, if that makes sense. And so, I didn't have the skill of hard conversations before coaching, and it's been one I've had to intentionally build for like 5 years, and one that I just recently feel confident in. But that piece of like, there's no right formula to do everything correctly so that you never suffer.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't exist. You just get better at being able to feel everything and like appreciate being able to feel everything. And so that's a really big belief, to be honest with you. I'm still pretty mad about, like, I still find myself trying to be like, well, if we can just do it right, if we can just do it perfect, if we can just predict the future, then it'll be okay. So that's a pretty big belief. And then also, since I mentioned it, I'll go here, but the spiritual side of things, I had a deconstruction journey start almost like the same month that I opened my private practice. And I have spent the past 7 years. I know it probably doesn't sound like I have a lot of free time, and I really don't, but every ounce of free time, Megan, I have been studying theology and religion and God and just like a sponge. I cannot get enough of it because I had to break down all of the like what that meant. And then I have been slowly like finding the bricks to put it back together. And that could probably be an entirely other podcast, but that has also been like, as someone who was raised in the South in church and in mission trips, like that has been a insanely isolating and calibrating experience for me. And I'm so lucky to be surrounded by people who can like hold their beliefs and then also hold mine at the same time, kind of like while I'm a little chicken making their way out of the egg here, and I'm like mushy and like not fully formed. So that has been, and I'm probably like 40% of the way there on that one. Still building brick by brick. So that's like a pretty big one that has been smashed for me in the past decade.
That's a huge one, and I really appreciate you naming it here, because every once in a while you'll kind of you'll hint at things, but to even just share what you shared is a really, it's really huge.
Yeah, it is a big piece. It is a big piece, and again, feeling like really lucky that like whenever I see Laura and we like go to business dinners, or we're like, okay, what's our plan for this? And then I'm like, but like, is hell real? And she's like, well, like, let's talk about it. And we could like bounce between these two things pretty fluidly. And here's my premise is like, I don't know that it's necessarily my place, and I can tell my story however I want on social media, whatever, but I haven't felt called to make this a pillar of what I talk about, mainly because one, I'm freaked out by like what people in my life are going to tell me. Like even the fact that my dad might listen to this podcast like makes my stomach drop a little bit. And it's like I don't know how to communicate what I'm experiencing yet, or I haven't had the words. I feel like I'm getting closer to the words, but I haven't been able to like have an incredibly productive is not the right word. I just haven't been able to talk about it without getting defensive. And if we're just going to argue, then I don't want to argue about it with people in my life. And so I think that I'm getting closer. I'm getting my feet underneath me. And, this is something that people reach out to me quite a bit whenever I like put up a little flare here and there. They're like, that resonates. But at the end of the day, my goal here is like, I want to be the same person in every room that I walk into. And this is kind of like my, my last frontier to where I filter the hardest and I shy away the most is this piece, depending on who, like on my level of safety. And I know that it's my job at the end of the day to create safety for myself in every room that I'm in. And so more to be talked about soon. More to be talked about soon.
Yeah, I can hear the tenderness in what you're
Yeah.
saying. Makes sense that it's protected while it's your truth and it's
Yeah.
your life and it's your viewpoint, and only Shelby is on Shelby's path in this. And so it makes so much sense that it's something that spirituality is just something that's so intimate
Mm-hmm.
that I can just really appreciate all that you're saying. And I think that in my own very humble opinion, I think there are so many, many, many different paths to God and whatever definition that is for
Yeah.
anyone. And just being respectful of each one of us on our own journey to finding access to whatever that relationship and connection is key.
Yeah. I think so too. And I think as nurse coaches, we do a pretty good job here of like being able to recognize that. And I think this probably translates from like our work as bedside nurses, to where you had to honor many different cultures and religions and all this other things too. And every time I have brought up pieces of this, everyone has been so kind and respectful and all those things. You guys have created many, many acres of safe space for me to share. But yeah, for a long time, I tried to force it. Like I was like hyper focused on like, if I can just figure it out, you see, there it is again. If I can just figure it out, then everything will be fine. And I had a spiritual mentor of mine a few years ago. He's like, I don't think that's how this is going to work. I think that you're just going to have to be willing to let it unfold. And instead of trying to strangle it, be more curious. And then there's more space there. And I was like, okay. So, yeah, I hope to do the next installment when I have more information. And that's kind of like where we've landed for 2025. That's where we've landed. Yeah.
Well, I love it. And it's that part that like those of us, I resonate with so much of what you're saying, which isn't surprising, but just that eagerness and that curiosity and want to figure everything out. And like, it's like kind of opening up a clock and like, look at all these little parts, but also just to take the metaphor further, like, it doesn't mean that I understand time. I just brain in a clock, right? But there's that little part of me that wants to be figuring out time. It's just all about that constant practice of like surrender and follow and let go. That's what I hear what you're saying.
Yeah. Oh man, do we have time to talk about time and the concepts of time on this podcast, Meg? Do we have it? Oh, that's another wormhole we could get into.
Okay, well, let's flip it in a different way of time. So the evolution of nurse coaching, I would love to hear like what you feel you've witnessed in the evolution of nurse coaching since you've been in this business.
Whoa. Yeah. I'm aware of nurse coaching from like 2017 forward. I had a meeting a couple weeks ago with a fellow nurse coach. She actually lives down the road from me here in Texas. And we were talking, and she owns another certification company. And she was basically like the nurse coach historian. Like she was just like spitting facts at me. And I was like, wow, there are so many things that I like just about the origin and how it got started. And she knows everyone, and now she knows me. But like there's just so many things that she had to say. And I was like, you need to put this on paper. Like that's helpful to like understand a bigger context. But from 2017, from my perspective, the industry has grown like really, really fast. And there's like less than 4,000 board certified nurse coaches in existence, So like when Laura and I found certification and found each other, there were less than 500. It was really, really small. And then through a lot of hard work, has grown, not just ours, but like there's been a collective effort going on here over many, many years. And when 2020 hit, team, I think that nurse coaching was in a pretty reactive place. And I don't mean that to sound negative, but there was a lot of nurses like fearful for their jobs, for their safety, for their livelihood. And nurse coaching was a safe place for people to land and to like come and recover and be seen and heard and loved on. And I didn't know this in the moment, but like during those couple of years, like nurse coaches were hungry. They wanted a different way. The system was just like more broken than ever and like had an enormous amount of stress put on it due to COVID. And looking back on that time, I'm like, oh, everyone was just panicked, like us included too. Like I think that Laura and I were trying our best to be able to like help people who wanted out in a similar way that we had gotten out. And I had no idea. Like for context, Laura and I partnered together at the end of 2019 and like August, September. So like we really didn't know. And a lot of that was just like we had the right information at the right time at the right place. And it was a life raft for a lot of people that wanted private practice. And probably like 2023 entering into 2024, it feels less reactive to me now. Nurse coaching is more popular than ever. More people know about it. And the nurses that I am meeting coming into the specialty still want to do nursing differently. But what is surprising to me is I actually kind of have to sell them on having a private practice. And I'm like, what do you mean you don't want it? Like, what do you? But there are nurses that do want a private practice, like represent. You guys are awesome. You're out there, you're doing it. But there's a good chunk of nurses who want to rebuild nursing from inside hospital walls. And I think pre-2020, that was not as possible as it is right now. And so there's all these cracks in the systems. There's like wellness initiatives now that didn't exist 5 years ago. There's all these things where the tides are like turning in our favor. And we frankly need excellent nurses bedside still. Like there's a real crisis happening here, and it's not a shortage problem. It's a retention issue, and something has to give. I want to play a part in solving that problem. And so that's where I see it now. I still see that like nurses who are wanting something different, wanting to do nursing differently, like private practice is always here. They're doing so well. I just got off a call right before this with a client who she was like, I'm booked. Like I'm booked out. I'm booked out. I'm booking into January, and we're in November right now, which was awesome. And there is kind of like the need has shifted a little bit of how do we take care of our own better? How do we become more equipped leaders? How do we support our new grads more? Like how do we turn the help to the nurses themselves? And I'm really excited and moved by that. Like we've got to meet with leaders over the past 6 months, like at hospitals, CNOs who are big like change makers, and to like be supportive in their hospitals to bring that vision to life is really, really something. And so that's where we kind of are now. And I mean, I'm biased, Meg, but I really think nurse coaching is the answer. I think it's the answer for everything. I think it's the answer for nurses who want to do nursing differently. I think it's the answer for nursing retention problems and turnover and burnout. I think it'd be really cool to have nurse coaches on staff, like have that be a household thing, because it is an impossibly demanding job to do long term. And I think with the newer generation of nurses like coming up, that they have a lower tolerance for BS.
Mhm.
And so, and I don't think that that's a bad thing. I think that they're like millennials felt like a little like canary in the coal mine situation. And then like Gen Z's coming up and is like, we're just going to do it differently now. So if we can help equip the new generation of nurses for more sustainable careers, that would be amazing.
Right. And so people will already know so many bits of this, but I think it's important just to highlight too right here, like how does your practice in the Successful Nurse Coaches and the Nurse Life Coach Academy, how does that support in this emergence that's happening? How does it fill in the gaps here?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, at the Successful Nurse Coaches, we have you for all your private practice dreams, desires. That's still where like the biggest chunk of my heart is for nurses who are built like me and want to do something different and are willing to jump off the cliff of entrepreneurship. That's where a big piece of my heart is. And we have rolled out nurse coach residency, which is like, I feel like the final boss of programs that we've rolled out for business coaching. And it's one I'm most proud of. And to where we really focus on like making you excellent as a coach and focusing on the repetitions, like all these, the things we were talking about earlier of like, I'm going to have you put your feet on the ground and start walking. Like our goal there is to help you make money as quickly as possible and to make impact as quickly as possible in private practice. So Successful Nurse Coaches, that's our primary goal, is the nurse coach residency over there. And then with Nurse Life Coach Academy, you know, of course, any nurse can come in and take our course. But I think Laura and I have visions of grandeur to take it and knock boots with people up the food chain here and to do research and to have data and to have numbers that like back up our program so that we can sell it on a bigger scale, not necessarily to have the most students ever, but imagine a hospital with an in-house certification,
Right.
you know, like, or a hospital where every leader on staff is a trained nurse coach. You know, I want to make that happen. We are like just starting to pull on the thread of that here. And I don't really know what it looks like quite yet. I know that we will probably have a lot of Zoom meetings with a lot of people and talk a lot, and we'll get better and better as we go. But I think that's where Nurse Life Coach Academy could have the most impact, is if a hospital was willing to go first and collaborate in a big way with us. It's one of those things that Laura and I've talked, and I was like, we might do the first round for free just to get it in, just to have the numbers to like have it on the back end. That's how passionate we feel about it. And I have been a patient in a patient bed 10 times in the past 5 years, which is insane. But I think of all the nurses who did a great job and made the most impact on my care. And they were the ones that could like look me in the eye and hold my hand and not like say the perfect thing, but just be with me in those moments. And you can just feel their heart. And nurses with that skill, I think, get chewed up by the system right now. So then how do we like protect those nurses, like the precious, precious resources that they are? And how do we equip them and give them tools and all the things, but then also work on padding the system so that people can do it for more than 5 years at a time.
Right. Yeah. You're bringing the humanity back into all that.
I hope so. I hope so. Yeah. It's more possible than ever, Megan. That's what I'm telling myself. I'm looking at Mount Everest in my head right now. I'm like, more possible than ever. More possible than ever before. And I think that hospitals are more willing to have this conversation. Yeah. So I'm interested how Laura would answer that question. She probably has a lot more to add to that, but that's where we anticipate being able to drive the car next.
Yeah, that's amazing. So you've touched on this a bit in little ways, but I'd love to just kind of hear you say like how you define success. Like how has your definition of success shifted? How do you define success now personally for?
Yeah. I think success initially was like, can I not quit? Was success. That was like the first metric of success for a really long time, is can I just be in learner mode and not quit? And that lasted for, I don't know, like 3 or 4 years. And now I can feel the metric of success shifting because we have actual metrics to track success in our business. And so now success is a little less vision boardy and a little bit more like hard facts of like, did we do it? Did we not? And that, I'll be honest with you, has been really challenging for me because I've never, like, nursing has been my only career. Bedside nursing has been my only role. And I never was a manager of anything. So this is so new for me. And I oftentimes feel so out of my depth with like reports and ad spend and just like all this stuff. I'm like, who put the little kid in charge here? Because I'm feeling pretty small. I do think that I can learn how to do it. And it's just been a big learning curve for me. And then I think what like brings me peace of putting my head on my pillow every night is that I worked really hard and I didn't shy away. Like I didn't leave an email in my inbox because I was afraid to respond to it, or, you know, like I ate all the frogs that day. And even just from like a personal note, I think this is back to the scale metaphor we had in the beginning of like, I feel out of balance with like the fun and the family and the like living my life outside of my business right now. And so that would also, I would love to put a little bit more in that area of my life in 2026. And then I think I'll be feeling pretty good. Like I feel pretty awesome about it. And then I was talking to my coach the other day. I was like, I think I need to move to Portugal. And she was like, can you not? Like, what are you doing? And there is a quality about me that I think I'm forever just a little unsettled too, you know? And like, I'm always just a little, like, I'll always want more. And so right now in this season, you have little kids too. Everyone listening to this podcast probably has children. That success for me also means like, how can I make the most out of this stage of my life without moving to Portugal, without like some like grand plot twist, you know? And so like, that's the skill that I'm like building personally right now. It's like, okay, I don't know that you're ever going to be fully satisfied with anything ever. So like, how can we just make the most of it right here? What does that mean? How does it look? Because I always want to move to Portugal or move into an RV or go to Hawaii. Like, it just, let's go and overextend ourselves. Let's go do that. So that's also, I think, what success will be geared towards next year. Of how do we not sell your house and move across the world?
Right. We have so many similar love languages. I can't count the amount of ridiculous Zillow places I have emailed myself. Like, this will be a possibility. And my husband now knows to just kind of listen and roll his eyes, and the next thing comes along. But it's the seeker. It's the
yeah. Yep. Me and my husband had a human design reading a few years ago, and that's like the one thing that he told us was like, Rob, it will never be enough for her. It will just never be enough. And it's not your fault and it's not her fault. It's just, it'll never be enough. And like the relief that washed over him was like, okay, this is just who she is. And I want to talk about buying a French chateau and renovating it into an Airbnb. Like, I'm just an idea machine. I love ideas. I love daydreaming. I love all of that. And even just saying it out loud, I think that it allows me to dream big here. And then when I can put my feet on the ground and like start walking towards it, like this is the zone that has the most impact for me.
Yeah. So as with all this responsibility and with all that you are taking steps towards, as well as there's motherhood, there's partnership, there's leadership, there's a rapidly growing company. How do you personally stay anchored in what matters most for you?
Oh, such a good one. This is such a like cliche coaching answer, but I know my core values: hope, purpose, and love. And if all of the, like every time I go to make a decision, if they don't fall into like one of those categories, then it's just a no for me. And I wish that I had that framework sooner. And I read a book 2 years ago, maybe last year. Adam Grant, the psychologist, he's total G. I really love reading his stuff. And the book's called Hidden Potential. And he was talking about the science of people who do great things. Like, what is the trend amongst them? Like, what makes it? Are they born that way? Do they, get their skill from somewhere? And there was a story he told in there about a man who was an architect like in the 15th century or whatever, and he designed these beautiful chapels, and he, all of the builders wanted to buy his plans to build them in real life. And every time he got close to building something in real life, he would burn the papers so that no one could build it. And because they existed to perfection in his brain, and he didn't trust anybody else to bring it to life. And so nothing ever happened. Nothing ever got done. That sticks out to me quite a bit of like, just build the thing, even if it's not perfect. But then also, as another point he makes in the book is that it's a skill to be able to say no to things you don't want to do. Like, that's part one. And then part two is you have to be able to say no to the things that you really want to do, and the other really good ideas and the other things that excite you and get you pumped up. In order to achieve something awesome and impactful and wonderful and game-changing, everything else has to die off. And I was really sad when I read that. Cue French Chateau, laundromat that's also a rave at night, like all these like other wild ideas that I have. And so it's like, well, what's the most important thing? Like, what do you think you were put on this earth to do? And I think that I have the skill and capacity with Laura to really make an impact here. The laundromat rave doesn't fucking matter. The French Chateau doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Not in the same way. So knowing my values, do all decisions fall into that? Having conversations with Rob, my husband. This is not just like me steering the ship here. We have these conversations often, and my husband has made huge sacrifices in order for me to be here. And but that's how I stay like undistracted in what we're trying to do here long term.
Yeah, I love it. And we could call it a coachy answer, but I think that it's an embodied answer. And just hearing you talk makes me think, like, at what age can we start instilling this? I tried it at my dinner table, and I will announce that at least with my family, 9 and 12 is a little too young. None of the values assessment, everyone. But I really tried.
I love the effort, though. I love the effort.
Yeah, like just try to think of that from that lens of like, to me, it's like a filtration system of like, does it still make it through? If we pass it, like what you named as these 3 beautiful pillars, does it make the cut? And maybe even to what measurable end? Like, okay, maybe it does, but which one is more substance? And
Yep. Yeah. And the deeper I get into this, I'm like, oh, this is why people don't do this. Like, I understand, because it requires everything. If you really want to be exceptional, it requires all of it. And as a multi-passionate person, it's a lot for me to make peace with, and I still have to do it pretty regularly. I was talking to my brother last night about starting a business where you rent plastic bins to move. Instead of cardboard boxes, you just rent the plastic bins. And I like went 30 seconds into a business plan, and I was like, stop. Enough. Like, not worth your brain space to like, how much can we charge per bin to be profitable? Like, it just doesn't matter. And so, yeah. And because it's holistic for me, like my work here is weaved into my spiritual life. It's weaved into my mental health. It's weaved into my, it's just like there's not sections of my life. It's all just like happening at the same time. And currently, at the time we're recording this podcast, like I'm out of alignment on some of those too. And maybe that's helpful to hear. It's just like, you're allowed to get out of alignment. You're allowed to overdo it. And your only job is just to be like, meep, pivot, and then like come back. You're just constantly swinging back and forth, back and forth.
Right. Balance isn't a stagnant state, unfortunately, everybody. It's
Darn it.
a
Darn it.
constant movement. So
Yeah.
is there like a boundary that you're kind of navigating right now or learning to be with in your own life?
Mm. Like a boundary of I won't.
Yeah, or a boundary like you're learning to hold, or a boundary that you're learning to honor, or
Yeah, I think, and this is like pretty fresh I mean, again, I like feel a pit in my stomach as I'm about to share this, but like Laura and I've worked 7 days a week for almost 365 days straight. Laura has probably worked longer than that, like every day, every day, with very few breaks. And I told her yesterday, I sent her a message and I was like, all right, I'm out on Sundays. She tried to float it. She's like, we should just shut the business down on Sundays. And I was like, no. Oh, and then like 48 hours later, I was like, we should just take that day. It's not that big of a deal. Like yes, you can always justify more work, and we cannot continue at this like level here. And we have help coming who's getting trained and all the things. And, I think that we're going to continuously decrease our workload over the next like 3 or 4 months. But I think that that's the boundary, because there's a chunk of my brain that's always up in my office, like thinking of the to-dos and thinking of that message I need to send and thinking and thinking and thinking and thinking. And I do want space in my life to be able to like put that down and go to the lake and go surfing with my dad. And, there's pieces of the puzzle that are not being tended to for me at the moment. So that's the boundary. And I don't want to be like, parenting right now is also pretty tough. Like, my kids are young and they're just, I love them. And there's a lot of, we're outnumbered now. It's hard. It's hard with 3. And it's easier for me to come sneak into my office and do a bunch of things that feel really important than be with them all day. And so I'm noticing like the tendency to like drift to work when parenting is challenging. And so I'm like, I don't want to be that mom. I want to be here, be present for the tantrums and the meltdowns and all the things. But that was a sneaky one. Work is easier than being a mom sometimes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I appreciate you saying all that you are. I know in my own life, it's interesting to see the distractions that I'm creating for myself in a way to not be present.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Whenever I hear people say, I just want to be more present, I'm like, LOL, do you? Because that's like that's an endless homework assignment from now until the day you die. It's such a big one. It's
and it takes so much. Like, talk about capacity.
Yeah, it really does.
So much capacity.
All of it. All of it. It's, again, one of those pretty words you can write out on paper, like on your vision board, and you're like, you don't know what that means yet. You don't know what that means yet. You're going to find out soon because you wrote it on that vision board, but you don't know what that means yet.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I'd love to add and sprinkle in more play here with you, because like just kind of peeking behind the curtain in these different ways. Like, I know that you're a foodie. I don't know if everyone knows that you're a foodie, but I'd love for you to share just these other like joyful, quirky, passionate little bits of you that we
like my laundromat rave where we all have hot dogs.
About that. I'm obviously going to that, and then we'll go to your French chateau afterwards.
Okay. So other funny things. Yeah, I do think that I've had this like hyperfixation with the laundromat for the past 6 months because my brain has perceived it as easier than running this business over here. And then I saw an idea last night where you have a laundromat during the day and a music venue at night. And I think that that'd be fun. But I'm trying to think of like all the less serious things about me, because I tend to like hyperfixate on serious stuff. But so we went on a food tour when you were in Austin. Like, we went on this like giant grand adventure. That was like that retreat. I made it for me. It was not really for anybody else. Awesome. That was Shelby's retreat, 5 stars. But yeah, I do love food. I love like community and food. I really like to host. Like, I've had the same best friends since I was like 14 years old, and they are chosen family for me. And so we have like a midsummer party because we chose a holiday that isn't a major like US holiday to celebrate together. And so we have them over every summer and get all our kids together, and we like, dress in white like a cult. It's super fun. And we have food and just like hang. And then we're doing cousin Christmas, which is where we all get together again during the holidays. My brother doesn't want kids, so we don't have cousins in our family. So I'm like, well, this will not do. I'm making cousin Christmas, and we're gonna do like a Christmas quest this year to where there will be challenges and they have to restore the Christmas magic. It's very elaborate. I've planned it. I've planned everything. And so like community is a really, really, really big deal to me. And I did an exercise recently about like highs and lows of your life through the decades. And literally I orient my whole life on like who I know, when I met them, how they've impacted my life. Like it's just how I am in the world. So friendships are insanely meaningful to me. Once you are my friend, I never let you go. Like there's an attachment issue probably there. But I also, before my heart surgery, I used to be a pretty intense adrenaline junkie as well. Like I've been skydiving a few times. I am so glad I rode all the roller coasters while I could, because I can't anymore. But like that was like my definition of fun, was like going and seeking the thrill. Like I really love to go scream at the top of my lungs on the top of a roller coaster. That's a really great time for me. I also really do haven't done it as much with kids, but we do like to travel. I did get traumatized pretty hard on a plane with my 18-month-old a year ago, going to Hawaii. I was pregnant with my third, and my 18-month-old had a catastrophic meltdown for 8 hours, and I like have had to do some somatic work to get back on a plane because I'm like, crying baby, oh my God, that was so hard. But I like to go places. I like to experience places, and I've noticed over the years that like anything touristy is a pretty big turnoff for me, and that I am such an a-hole, but like I'm let down by like famous monuments. The first time I saw the Eiffel Tower, I was like, that's it? Really? Okay. Like all right. But like natural things, standing on the edge of the Grand Canyon, the first time I almost wept, because you just feel like so small, and it's like a little unsafe to stand on the edge of the Grand Canyon. So I have a preference. I'm not a vacation buddy. I'm an adventure buddy. Like if we go, we're waking up at 6 a.m. and we're going, we're hiking, we're swimming. If there's a mountain, we're going to climb it. That's how I spend my free time. So those are a couple of other things. And I only exclusively watch YouTube, and only have for the past 10 years. I don't watch TV. I don't watch there are a few shows that I tune into for, but I love learning how to do things on YouTube that I'm never going to do. Like how to build a table. I'm like, that's great knowledge to have. Or how to keep bees. Also wonderful knowledge to have. But I will just go down random rabbit holes on YouTube and learn a bunch of stuff. And everything else is kind of boring to me. Like regular TV shows, movies, musicals, not really my thing. But maybe to no surprise, having parasocial relationships with people on the internet is my flavor. Is my flavor of things.
Love it. I love it so much. It's so funny because at one point I was going to ask you, if you were a nurse coach, what would you be doing? But I think we should have that be a whole nother podcast. It would be I can't ask her this question because we're going to be here for 5 hours.
Yeah, we'll be here forever. Yeah, there's a lot of options. And I also have that. I have the thought of it can't be that hard, So combine someone who has a lot of interest with it can't be that hard, and then you just have crazy town. You just go to crazy town. But yeah, that's a little slideshow of my life outside of nursing, and
I love it.
Yeah, it's fun. I really like my life.
Right.
Full of good food and good people and good YouTube videos.
It's a beautiful thing to think about too, in the sense of like, I think of it how I like to curate my spaces in the way of like really liking to decorate and really liking to make it homey and soft light and cozy. And that's, if we do it right, that's what we do with our lives. Like it's a curated, not from a perfectionist side, but like this means a lot to me. And I've worked really hard and I put my effort into this. And
Yeah.
that's what I hear you saying, all that you're sharing.
Yeah. I like that. I like that. Oh, I can't believe I forgot that I like want all my friends to live on a commune as well.
Yes.
That's also a
That would
really
be a whole nother podcast as
yeah,
well.
that's also a really big dream of mine. But yeah, getting back to like curating spaces there, I'm like, yeah, the wings of the commune, that French mansion that we're gonna buy is the commune. Lots of different ideas that I have. Lots of different.
Well, I have some friends that have talked about, and I really like this idea too, of like a commune in like the retired life commune of like, this is like the last season of life commune.
Yeah.
And how do we bring the younger people in to help like maybe work on the commune? All those bunch of little biddies, but like,
Yeah.
that could be a pretty sweet like phase out of like, now we're all in a commune for our last season.
Yeah. I like that too. I like that too. Oh.
Okay,
Well-
friend, last one.
Okay.
As we exit, what's something that you hope lands for those listening?
I hope you are able to pick up on how I have cultivated the capability to do cool things in nurse coaching, and also like how regular I am as well. Like that there's both things are true, and I think that insane change can, or like the ability to build the capacity and the skill to do really impactful things in the world is in the hands of everybody listening to the podcast. Like truly, you have the capability, you have the ability to learn, you are smart, you can do all of these things, and you don't have to have your shit together. You can still have a bowl of peanut butter next to your computer at the same time. It can
Yeah.
be both.
I love it. I love it. Thanks for letting me hold this end of the figurative mic, since my mic wasn't working to think that.
Yeah, this was fun. This was fun. And yeah, if you guys ever want a deeper dive on anything that we said here, let us know. I feel like that was a good like tour through my life in the past at least 12 months, if not more than that. But thanks for being here, friend. I appreciate you. That was awesome.
Yeah, I appreciate you.
All right, team, you know where to find us. We'll be here same time, same place next week. Bye, everybody.